Well, it went the way you said it would.
Sometimes it happens like that.
Were you surprised it happened so fast?
Not necessarily. We were actually working a lot with coming off the body triangle to work like a kind of a top side triangle from the back, and he was slightly slippery. I mean, when we were drilling, my partner wasn't as sweaty like during the whole week, and so that was a little bit of a variable I had to deal with. And so he turned in, and I got long legs, so even if I have a body triangle, people can turn in, and he was able to do that. And I think it's also because of his size as well, because he's a smaller guy. And but he dove his head back in, and that's kind of a no-no, especially if you watch my obviously my highlight reels. My last fight, I beat Ricardo by guillotine, so you think he would have kept his head from my arms, but in the fight you do things you're not supposed to, and he kind of did that.
Do you think he belongs in this division, or should he maybe go back to where he was and just work on weight cutting?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he should, obviously he doesn't have it down. I mean, if he wants to reach out to me, I'm a big featherweight. I know how to get the weight off. I could help him. I would have no problem doing that. At least giving him some pointers. And it's his coaches too. His coaches. I mean, he comes from Duke Rivers. There's a lot of high level names over there. So like those guys should be helping the younger guys and the guys coming up get to the weight classes they need to be, because he lost to JSP short notice up at the featherweight. The Bulgarian fight, I think he lost. I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. That was at featherweight as well. And then he fought me and he lost this fight as well. So he's got a win over Raul, which is a huge win for him. And that's at 35. Missed the weight. I think if he could dial that in, he'd be a fantastic fighter at bantamweight. But like I told everybody else, it's like I wanted to come into this fight and make a statement to him that featherweight's not for him.
When you have a win where it's 1 second left on the clock and
there was only 1 second left.
1 second.
Let's go.
Yeah. Does that make it a little bit more exciting? Like I got the first round. If you had waited, I mean, you probably would have gotten in the second. But having the first round versus the second, does it really matter to you?
Oh, I mean, not really. I'm like the entire time from bell to bell, I'm looking to kill, and looking for the finish. I knew it was getting close, because when I had his back, it was like there was like 40 something seconds I remember seeing, and then I was debating on whether I wanted to like try to rush the submission from the back that we'd been working, or if I just wanted to get a bit of damage. And I went with the latter, and I tried getting damage. And when I went to like hip him up and over and try to flatten him out, he was able to turn into me and get on top. And so that was kind of a slight mistake I made. But then he dove his neck in there, and at that point I stopped thinking about the clock. And when I grab someone's neck, I just go for it. And so and I knew I wasn't going to gas myself out. I do guillotines all the time, so my arms are capable of it. And so I was surprised that he tapped, because I knew there wasn't much time left, and if he could have probably just held on, honestly. But people panic tap all the time.
What did you think of the crowd?
Oh, fantastic! Man, right before you walk out, you see the bleachers go all the way up, and it's packed, and you're just like, holy shit! Like, this is the real deal. Fighting at the Apex was fun for a while, but I'm really starting to enjoy the crowd. I've always been one of those guys that kind of like feeds off that energy, and so it's nice to transition into the crowd, and I think I'm gonna want to start fighting in front of a crowd again.
So what's next then?
I mean, I want to drink some beers with my homies, and then go see my wife and kid, and then talk to my management and see what they want to do, see who's next in line for me. There's a lot of guys at featherweight that and a lot of matches that are coming up that maybe I get the winner of some of those guys. I was thinking maybe the winner of maybe the Andre Philly and Cub Swanson fight, but Philly, I think he's planning on moving to Vegas, and so I think he might be a teammate of mine. So who knows about that? But anybody really, anybody, anytime, anywhere. That's my motto. That's how we roll. Dan Ige 2 weeks ago did the unthinkable, but that's kind of how we roll.
Thank you.
Of course.
Julian, do you draw more motivation from fighting young, hungry contenders as opposed to, like legends like Cub Swanson and in the game, and veterans like that?
I mean, I don't know. I don't consider myself an old guy by any means, so I feel like I'm the young guy too, but there was a couple of things, obviously, with Christian Rodriguez. He's an up-and-comer, but I don't necessarily think about that. I just think about his abilities and what he's going to bring to the table. And I just knew leading in this fight, if that kid ever came and grappled me on any given day in my gym, I would sub him out every round. Like, I just knew that, just my size, my strength, and my abilities. Obviously the game plan went out the window a little bit in the beginning, but I just enjoy that. And also watching him fight, he doesn't really have that knockout power. He cracked me a few times, but nothing that really hurt me or stunned me. And so I was confident in being able to take his shots, and I was hoping to maybe put him out on the feet, but getting him on the ground and getting the sub as well is it's just nice for me because it really shows how well-rounded I am.
And reflecting on back-to-back wins this year, I mean, what are the biggest strides you've seen in your game in the last 4 or 5 months?
Just, I mean, honestly, it's been more of me having a kid. It puts perspective into things a bit different. And so for me, like, fighting's not a big deal. Like, I used to just be like, this is everything. Like, everything's on the line right now. And so, like, coming out, you know, my last 2 fights after having my kid, you just realize that fighting's not everything. You know, it's something I enjoy doing, but it's really mellowed me down in the back. And so I come out and I just enjoy fighting instead of thinking about all the everything that's kind of on the line, you know, everything. Because I'm still going to go home. My kid's still going to be there. My wife's going to be there. Everybody's still going to like me the way they always like me. So go out there and have a good time and just enjoy it.
When did you make that realization that fighting isn't everything, that, you know, there is much more to life than, you know, fighting in the cage?
Specifically when my son came out, you know, 4 months ago, 8 days before I fought Ricardo Ramos, watched my son born, and that was probably I wanted to wait to fight I wanted to fight before my son was born, but wasn't able to make that happen. But it actually worked out fantastic because it gave me that perspective.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course. All righty.